You wake up, and your lower back is already talking to you. Not a sharp scream, a dull, patient complaint that has been there for years. You shift, stretch, twist. Something clicks. You ignore it because you have to. For 99% of human history, your ancestors did not wake up like this. Not because they had better mattresses. Because they never stopped moving. And the reason they moved the way they moved is the same reason your back hurts today. It starts, like almost everything, with the decision to stand up. About 7 million years ago, somewhere in Africa, a population of apes began doing something no other ape did. They started spending more time on their hind legs. At first, it was not a dramatic change. They still climbed trees. They still knuckle-walked when they needed speed. But the trend was there, and once it started, it never stopped. The fossil record tells the story with bones. Your pelvis widened. Your spine curved into an S. Your big toe, once splayed and flexible, lined up with the others to form a spring. You became, over millions of years, a creature built for distance, not for speed, not for strength, for endurance. That answer is uncomfortable because it means your lower back was never an accident. It was a trade. You traded a spine that could carry four-legged weight evenly for a spine that bends and twists with every step. The human lower back is the most stressed region of your entire skeleton. In 1985, the anthropologist Bruce Latimer studied the spines of early bipedal hominins like Australopithecus afarensis. He found the same pattern of wear and tear that plagues modern office workers: arthritis, disc degeneration, the telltale bone spurs. The famous Lucy skeleton, about 3.2 million years old, already shows signs of lower back strain. So the aches you feel behind your desk are not new. They are ancient. They are the inheritance of a species that chose efficiency over comfort and never looked back. But standing up gave you something far more valuable than a flat front door. It freed your hands. And with free hands, you could carry, you could throw, you could shape stone. The anthropologist Karen Rosenberg has argued that bipedalism and the pelvic changes that came with it even reshaped the way you are born. And in 1978, when Mary Leakey's team uncovered the Laetoli footprints in Tanzania, she found something even more human. Two sets of footprints, 3.6 million years old, preserved in volcanic ash. They show a small creature walking erect, one foot in front of the other, at a slow, steady pace. No dragging, no knuckle impressions, a perfectly bipedal gait. The first evidence of a body that had already made its choice. Those footprints are the shadow of the exact moment your ancestors began moving like you, hurting like you, and building the world that would eventually let you sit down. Let us reconstruct a day in that upright body. Morning. Your ancestor wakes on a grass bed under a small shelter. No alarm, no schedule. The sun tells them to rise, they stand, and the spine stacks itself into its long, gently curved S. They walk, not a stroll, a measured, purposeful walk. Foraging for tubers, checking traps, scanning the horizon. The soles of their feet are thick and colloosed. The arches flex and flatten with every stride, absorbing shock like tuned springs. In the heat of midday, they rest in the shade, because running under the sun is a fool's game. Then late afternoon, they move again. Water sources, fruiting trees, maybe a few kilometers in total. Not a marathon, not exercise, just a life. Now watch what actually happens to that spine across the day. Each step sends a wave of force up from the ground. The heel strikes, the arch flattens, the ankle tilts, the knee bends, the hip swings, and the spine twists just slightly. Left, right, left, right. A constant gentle rotation that lubricates the discs and feeds the joints. When your ancestor squats to dig a root, the lumbar curve deepens, the hamstrings load, and the whole lower back opens like a hinge that has been oiled by millions of years of use. When they carry a child on one hip, the spine shifts, the shoulders counterbalance, and the muscles on one side stretch while the other side shortens. This is not wear and tear. This is nourishment. The human spine is not weakened by movement. It is fed by movement. Every bend, every twist, every load, every squat sends fluid into the discs and keeps the bones and muscles communicating with each other. A spine that moves is a spine that is alive. That silence is more recent than you think. For most of your life, you have been told that sitting is rest. Your body never agreed. Think of the last time you sat in a chair for 3 hours. Your back ached. Your hips tightened. Your shoulders crept forward. That ache is not the cost of working. It is your body telling you that the spine was never designed to hold a single angle for 3 hours, no matter how soft the cushion. The chair is a remarkably recent invention. The earliest chairs appear in Egyptian art about 5,000 years ago. That sounds old, until you remember that your lineage has been upright for 7 million years. 5,000 is less than 1% of that story. That leaves roughly 99% of human history, spent entirely without chairs, and without the shape they force your body into. So where did your ancestors sit? The answer is everywhere. They sat on the ground, on logs, on rocks, on grass. They rested cross-legged, or kneeling, or leaning on one elbow, or in the deep squat. They shifted their weight every few minutes without thinking about it. Around a campfire, a group of them would hold one conversation while constantly adjusting positions, rolling their ankles, stretching their calves, dropping into a squat, rising, settling again. The spine never locked into any single shape for very long. It was always in motion. When you lower yourself into a deep squat, heels down, chest lifted, spine in a gentle arch, you are not doing an exercise. You are returning to a position your ancestors used every single day. Watch any human infant. They squat perfectly, heels flat, back straighter than most adults can manage, long before they can walk. The deep squat is the original chair. It opens the hips, it keeps the lumbar curve alive, and it spreads the load of your body across your entire frame, instead of stacking it on one small patch of bone. In the markets of Asia, in the gardens of Africa, in the courtyards of the Middle East, you can still see adults resting in that position for long stretches while they work or talk. Their spines are not fighting gravity. They are cooperating with it. In the 1960s, an orthopedic researcher named Alf Nachemson did something daring. He used fine needles to measure the pressure inside the spinal discs of living volunteers. He asked them to stand, to lie down, to sit upright, and to slouch. What he found changed how doctors understood the lower back. Standing placed a certain load on the discs. Lying flat removed almost all of it. And slouching in a chair, the position so many people hold all day, produced the highest pressure of all, higher than standing, higher than walking, higher than carrying weight upright. That is why your back often hurts more at the end of the day than it does in the morning. The chair is not cradling your spine. It is compressing it, hour after hour, in a shape your body never evolved to hold. There is another law that governs your bones, and it is called Wolff's Law, after Julius Wolff, a German anatomist who studied the skeleton in the late 19th century. Wolff's Law says that bone is a living material that reshapes itself in response to the loads you place on it. Expose a bone to consistent weight, and it grows denser and stronger. Remove that weight entirely, and the bone quietly dissolves itself, because it assumes the load is never coming back. Your spine is made of bone, and it obeys the same law. The discs between your vertebrae have almost no blood supply of their own. They are fed by the rhythm of loading and unloading, the way a sponge is fed by being squeezed and released over and over. Movement is not merely good for your back. Movement is the only way your back stays fed. Consider what that means in your own body right now. The ache you feel is not a random malfunction. It is not fate. It is not even aging. It is your spine asking for a basic right that you have withdrawn from it. The right to move. The right to vary its position. The right to be loaded and unloaded in a natural rhythm. For 7 million years, your ancestors gave their spines that right every single day, from the first step after waking to the last settling before sleep. Then, in the smallest sliver of evolutionary time, you gave it a desk, a chair, and a silent promise that it would never have to work again. And a spine that never has to work is a spine that begins to decay. You do not need to abandon your life. You do not need to move to the savannah or sleep on the ground. You need to do something far simpler and far more ancient. You need to remember what your body already knows. Watch a child pick up a toy. They do not bend at the waist. They squat deep, heels down, spine arched, and rise with the toy held close to their chest. Watch an elderly woman in a traditional village. She does not sit for 3 straight hours. She sits, rises, squats, kneels, shifts her weight every few minutes, without ever thinking about it. That continuous variety of position is the real secret of the ancestral spine. Not a workout, not a gym, just constant, low-grade, ever-changing movement. So let me ask you something. What if the problem was never your back? What if the problem is the world you have built around it? You sit in a car to reach a desk, and you sit at the desk to reach a screen, and you sit on a couch to recover from the desk. Between those 3 identical shapes, you spend very few minutes actually standing, walking, bending, or squatting. The spine, designed for constant variety, is living inside a life of total monotony. It is not that your back is weak. It is that your back is starving. The good news is that you still carry the full instruction manual. The ability to move like an ancestor is not lost. It is buried under routine. When you stand up from a chair and feel stiffness, that is not age. That is your body waking from a posture you kept it in for too long. When you squat down to pick up a pen and your heels lift off the floor, that is not weakness. That is your ankle joints reporting that they have not been asked to stretch in years. These are not signs of decay. They are signs of neglect. And neglect can be reversed at any age. with the smallest, most ordinary movements you already know. Walk more, stand more, squat to pick things up, sit on the floor for part of the evening. Shift positions instead of locking into one. Your ancestors did not stretch. They simply never stopped changing their shape. The spine is the most patient structure in your body. It carries you for decades without complaint. It bends, twists, compresses, rebounds, and goes silent while you ignore it. And when you finally stop ignoring it, when it starts to ache and pull and lock, it is not breaking down. It is speaking up. It is the oldest conversation in human history, and it has been waiting for you to remember something. 7 million years of upright walking, of carrying children, of digging roots, of bending over fires, of squatting in the dust, all of it shaped the exact curve of your lower back. That curve is not a design flaw. It is a masterpiece of give and take, of strength and flexibility, of a trade made long ago that you are still paying for today. You have not lost the ability to move well. You have just not asked your body to move well in a long, long time.